Welcome to the Through Our Eyes podcast recording. The alerts will be off so that we can concentrate on the interview. The podcast is something that Paige and I put together to highlight independent creators' stories, specific focus on marginalised creators and the things that they have experienced throughout their lives, and especially with associated content creation. This came from Paige's big baby of the Through Our Eyes streams. Would you like to tell us a bit about those?
It can do. So you may have heard it before, but the Through Our Eyes streams started up in January this year to highlight marginalised creators, but kind of en masse. So we normally interview 20 or 30 people during a single event. And we focus on many different groups, try and raise money for charity. So far, I think we've raised nearly $8,000 in the last 8 months, something like that. And we do have more planned throughout the rest of the year. There is actually going to be an announcement about that soon, because it will have to go to one every 3 months instead of one every 2 months for a little while in the foreseeable future. But there will be more information on that soon. But we will be looking to do the next episode on marginalised genders. So there will be more information out about that as soon as possible, really.
Awesome. Great. So today we have, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm RoseofBattle. I go by Rose, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm primarily a Twitch streamer. I do also make some videos on YouTube, and I've been dabbling into TikTok and whatnot. I play a lot of Splatoon 2 for the Nintendo Switch. It's been like my favorite game, and I never thought I'd get so into like a multiplayer shooter game, but of course it's like an adorable one. I also do some variety streaming. Lately I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impacts. Like there was that new update that just dropped recently. This month I'm also doing charity streams. I'm doing a full month of streams for Starlight Children's Foundation because it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm going to be very busy this month.
And where would people most be able to find you? Where your handle and such forth for Twitch and Twitter?
I am RoseofBattle basically everywhere, from Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Fan House, basically everywhere.
It's always nice to hear somebody actually gets their name on every platform.
It's so nice.
Great. And what is it that brought you here today to talk to us?
I am a bisexual woman who's very into video games, and I've been playing games for a very long time. It's a pretty significant part of my life. It's a very huge part of my life with friends, also with my spouse, who's also very into video games and also learned like how to make video games. So it's been like just a huge part of our life, and for as long as I can remember, and I'm sure most women and femme presenting people are very familiar with a lot of the sexism that we experience, very different flavors of it, all very frustrating in different ways. And I am trying to use my spaces on the internet to make things safer for all marginalized people who like video games.
Awesome. Right, so if we're all good, I'll start with the first question. Yep.
Good on.
Yeah.
Cool. So, first question is, tell us your story. What got you into gaming? What has been your experience in the industry?
So I would have been very young in like after school daycare. Very long time ago, and my daycare had the Sega Genesis and had Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and that was like my first game that I played, and it took me a while to actually play it because I was a very shy young girl, and I would just sort of like watch people play it for a while until eventually I got to like take a turn because nobody was using it. And I thought, oh my God, this is fun. And then I ended up playing some like Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo at friends' houses. The place where I used to get my hair cut as a kid also had like a Super Nintendo setup. So I'd play that game there. I'd play a couple other games. And once my parents realized that I was actually really into games, they ended up buying me Sega Genesis, and we got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then got my younger sister who's 3 years younger than me, and then she ended up playing with me, which was actually really, really great because I think she would have been like 5 or 6 at the time. And so she would just play as Tails, who could just like die infinitely, and it was not an issue. So she would just play him, and I would play Sonic, and we had like a fantastic time playing together, and also occasionally bickering because siblings, but we had a good time. And then by the time I got into 2nd grade, that was when Pokemon Red and Blue came out. And it just sort of like took over the school by storm. Some of the people I had as friends back then were also very into Pokemon. We all got into it together. My parents got me a Game Boy Color and got me a copy of Pokemon Blue. And that's pretty much what got me like cemented into like, I like video games now. I definitely like these a lot. They're very fun to play. And unfortunately at the time, I really didn't know many other girls who played video games. All of my friends were boys. It was really just like me and my sister. All my friends, when I would go over to their houses when they had video game consoles, they were always boys. And at the time, I just like all of my friends happened to be boys. And it wasn't until I got older that I actually started meeting more women who were into games and comics and anime and manga. And I was able to form like a lot of really fantastic female friendships. But before that point, it was mostly I was just hanging out with a lot of young boys being into Pokemon. And later on, after continuing to be into video games for a long time, up until the present, I actually ended up becoming a games journalist shortly out of college. So as a young adult, my young 20s, I ended up doing games journalism for about 3 years before I switched into a different industry for a few various reasons. There was sexism. I actually ended up working during Gamergate's height, was because I was doing journalism from 2013 to 2016, and it was a lot. And then, like by the time like 2015 hit, I was like, I can't do this exactly anymore. So I ended up switching to more like off and on freelance work in the games industry because I was like, this is maybe not where I want to be if the community is going to be like this. And I want to believe that it's changing for the better, but I think it is slowly changing.
Just for clarification, would you tell us a bit about what that is? Because there's going to be people that don't really know what you're talking about there.
About like the Gamergate stuff or something. Yeah, so if you weren't in the middle of Gamergate, I don't like to say that Gamergate just like happened in 2014 because a lot of these people had been around and are still around today, so it's not really over, but I would say that it reached its height in 2014. And the impetus for that big buildup was largely sexism directed at somebody who is non-binary. Zoe Quinn is non-binary, but was not out about this at the time. And there were implications that, or there were allegations that were very, very untrue about how they had slept with somebody for a positive game review, for a game review that did not exist at this publication at Kotaku, and for a game that was free to play. And it really took parts of 4chan and a lot of IRC chats by storm. These people were largely pushing for ethics in games journalism as a sort of euphemism that they were using to cloud really just a culture of misogyny and harassment. And they pushed that really, really hard on a lot of the games journalists in particular to legitimize the Gamergate movement. And unfortunately, that was fairly successful. I remember when I was working, during this, I was mostly working at The Escapist, which ended up being one of the huge places for Gamergate building. And was one of the reasons why I ended up quitting The Escapist, because I couldn't stand working there, being subjected to the same harassment that our publisher was courting. ended up the Escapists and several other games journalism organizations like Kotaku, Polygon, and so on and so forth ended up putting out statements about their ethical guidelines. They were all very, very standard, close to like what you would see for the Society of Professional Journalists for places like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and whatnot. It was all very clear, but it really did give ammo to people in Gamergate thinking that they could actually keep pushing this, and they did, and it ended up largely just resulting in massive amount of harassment at anybody, mostly women who are into games, whether it be like large gaming personalities or journalists, or really just people who are very public about liking games on Twitter and were also women. This also targeted male allies, and it definitely targeted women of color the hardest, and it was very, very bad. And they're still around today. There are actually some interesting videos out there that you can find where people talk about the links between people who were involved in Gamergate to the people who were involved in the Trump administration in the US. And there's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, they're not gone. They're just not at their peak from 2014.
Okay. So after that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your flow. It was just
No, you're good.
So after that, you can like to continue your story.
Yeah, I ended up switching industries, but now I end up doing Twitch streaming now. So I moved away from journalism, still stayed within publishing, but in a different area. And a couple years ago, a few of my friends had been on Twitch and had been streaming. A lot of them women and non-binary people, and I was like, yo, this seems pretty cool, because like I've been on YouTube before, and I actually streamed on YouTube last night and have stories about how that went. But I'd always gotten more of a sense that like the YouTube gaming sphere was very, very male focused. And while that is often still the case on Twitch, I've also seen plenty of pockets of people and communities on Twitch. Like they're very, very diverse communities on Twitch, which are can be very accepting towards marginalized people. And I saw a lot of people having fun, a lot of my friends. So I said, oh, I want to start streaming on Twitch. And I've certainly had experiences on Twitch that sexist trolls coming in, and there are a lot of issues that Twitch needs to do better about right now. But I would say community-wise, I've had a fantastic time streaming on Twitch and cultivating a community where people really care about one another, and we take a lot of time to reflect on ourselves, on what we can do better, and recognizing where we have, despite being marginalized in some way, there are other privileges that we might have, that things are very nuanced, and there's always things to learn. So that's pretty much where I am now.
Okay. So this leads us into the next question pretty nicely, because you've just mentioned about streaming on YouTube yesterday. For those who don't know, which honestly, if you're in this chat, I'm surprised if you don't know, but yesterday, streamers protested the lack of safety and action towards hate raids. What would you wish to see as a response, and what has your experience been as a streamer in this situation? And then tell us about YouTube.
Yeah. So on Twitch, I'm sure like most women and non-binary femme people have experienced a lot of people coming in with like a lot of backseating. At least I've experienced a lot of backseating where playing any sort of game, people will be like, well, you should do XYZ. And then I'm like, thank you. We have like no backseating as a rule. So maybe next time if you want to like ask me if I'd like a tip before you just blurt it out. And then they get really hostile and aggressive. And they're like, oh, I just didn't want you to suck. I hope you keep sucking at the game then. I'm leaving. And then the mods are like, I mean, we're banning you, but okay. And yeah, it's a lot of, I've noticed a lot of backseating. I've had things get worse than that. I've certainly had people who have come in and made very sexual comments about me, and it really honestly does not matter what I'm wearing, but certainly when I wear tank tops, like it's something, trolls come in, they're like making sexual comments about breasts and whatnot, and it's very, very annoying.
You have breasts?
I know. Or like, oh, the shoulders are showing. Oh.
Honestly, you'll
How
distract all
dare.
those good little gamers from their video games. How dare you? They're trying to get a high score. What is wrong with you? Honestly.
Maybe they should wear some tank tops too.
Maybe if they got their titties out, they'd suck less. Just,
Maybe.
you know.
Because we all know that tits are stealing your viewers.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's been a huge problem for like for a while, but certainly within the last year with all the conversations where people have been talking about the hot tub meta on Twitch, where people have just been really, really aggressive towards female streamers, being like, well, you're only popular because of your appearance and you're taking away my viewers. Then I've had to, point out to people like, you do realize you're going after different audiences, probably, right? They're not stealing anybody from you to begin with. And I think it's overall, we've had a huge cultural problem of men feeling like women are invading their spaces is, I guess, the best way I can describe it. And this goes beyond games. I mean, this is also in like comics,
It's
Star Wars.
Territorial.
Yeah, it is. And it's strange because it's not like we just like popped up overnight. A lot of us.
Well, I don't know about you,
like...
but
but yeah, well, like I've been playing video games all my life, and nobody needs to have been a gamer their whole life to be, like valid as a gamer. But we've had this huge marketing push for years now about what a gamer is. And going back to Gamergate, one of the huge things that stirred a lot of ire was one journalist named Lee Alexander who wrote a post for Gama Sutra, actually getting into that idea about how marketers need to stop focusing on this made-up artificial gamer identity of always being an 8 to 25-year-old straight white man. It's just consistently like, that is the gamer. And I'm not any of those things.
No, even the 90s adverts for Nintendo was essentially a Chad version of a child with, gelled up hair and just being like, fuck yeah, just be Donkey Kong. It's like, well done.
Is that what I need to do to be accepted?
Yeah, you need to get a lot more NSYNC gel going on, like frosted tips, baggy cargo pants, and you need your mum to beat the last level for you.
Do I need those like shades that you used to wear in the 90s commercials?
Oh, that's just because your CRT is really shit. So yeah, so you need to get going. But yeah, it's just even the older adverts as well for everything were massively sexist, and they still kind of are. Quite a lot of them.
I think it's gotten better, but there's still room for improvement.
Yeah. There's definitely still a assumption of who a gamer is, what kind of games are built for particular people. You're a casual gamer if you play mobile games, but also likelihood is you're female. It's like, why?
Despite the biggest spenders in mobile gaming being men, usually I think somewhere anywhere between like 20 and 50 with more free money to spend. Usually, it's like that the statistics don't actually add up to what you're claiming at all.
Yeah, because a lot of it is just outrage, and it feels very reactionary, just like our spaces are being invaded, we don't like this, so we have to double down harder. And I don't know why they're doing that, because there's still plenty of space for everybody in the hobby. It's not like we have a certain amount of space within a box and we're overflowing over it. There's room for everybody. There's room for all types of games. The old reactionary pushback used to be whenever people criticized something for being sexist or being racist or being transphobic, they would be like, okay, well, stop complaining, go make your own game. And so then people did that. And then they were like, stop making these games.
Yeah. There's a lot of sexism, also a lot of people being really afraid of, well, being femme in any way, shape or form. Like, boys aren't allowed to cry because it's girly, and you know, oh, you can't do this because it's girly. And then you look at video games as well, it's like, you can't play that game, that's a girl's game. It's like, is it? I mean, in Red Dead Redemption 2, you had to look after and tack your horse. Is that not the same as Barbie, like, Pony Princess? It's pretty much the same fucking thing. Like, even down to the catching small animals. I mean, you didn't rip their skins off in Barbie.
Please go and tell the trolls on Twitter that.
It's the same mechanic. You get your horse, you name it, and then, well, somebody doesn't shoot it at the end, normally in Barbie, but you know. I miss my horse in Red Dead, man. But still, like, there's no such thing as a girl's game or a boy's game. Normally it's just what colour packaging it has. And even then, that's backwards as well, because the colour for men and boys used to be pink, because red was the colour for men on a battlefield because it covered up wounds, and they made it pink because it's diluted for small boys, and then they decided in the 30s that blue was better for boys and girls were more pink. Sorry, I've just gone on a complete sexist tangent here.
You're right, though.
Yeah, it's just it's a flip of a dime on what is acceptable, and it's only acceptable if you have a penis and you're proud about it, really, I guess.
Yeah. And actually, as a kid, I was very, very anti-pink. I was definitely like, I'm very much one of those like bisexual women now who is like super tomboyish and anti-pink as a kid, where I was like, ew, dresses in pink, disgusting. Now I'm like, I love femme things. I love the color pink.
Yeah. It's like, I painted my guitar with flowers on. I'm pretty sure I'd have beaten myself to death with it as a child. Like, there's no way I would have done that. It was like cargo pants and, well, and I don't know. I don't remember what else really happened. But, you know, close to football, actually. I was massively convinced I was into football. I wasn't into football at all.
I played that for like up through high school.
The thing is
soccer over here.
It's like, okay, you convince yourself you're massively into these things that are associated to more masculine pastimes, but it's like, the point is that it's not masculine at all. It's not masculine or feminine. It's just an activity. It's
yeah, exactly.
Because I basically, shock horror, everyone, I'm gonna shake your worlds. I had Barbies, but I didn't tell anyone about it because I was scared that I would be judged based on that, because all I did was hang around with boys because I had male interests that, you know, I played hockey and I did all of these, like, I only hung around with boys and played video games, and the idea that letting people know that I did something girly was, despite the fact that I wore dresses, like, it's just we've basically encouraged this perception that activities can be gendered, and that's just mind-boggling.
It's a big cultural, societal problem. So going back to like the stuff with Twitch, this is definitely like a very, very large societal cultural problem that is going to have to be tackled on multiple fronts simultaneously for a long time. But there are certainly things Twitch can do. Having streamed on YouTube last night, I know my mod Shantae is in the chat. She knows. We came to the agreement that moderation tools on YouTube are severely lacking, and they're very, very bad. But Twitch could also be better. I feel like one of the best things and easiest things for Twitch to do is to give us a setting where we can set how long an account has to have been made before it can chat. I would love to not have like brand new accounts being allowed to chat. And whenever I do see somebody new and I'm getting a little bit suspicious of them, I do check to see when their account was made. And if it's recent, then I'm like, you're on thin ice. I don't trust you.
Yeah, follow age would just be one of the best things. Like, because with the auto mod, you can choose like whether messages have to be approved or not. Why couldn't you just have an option for whether they can follow or not? So it's like Bob69 has had an account for 12 hours and has asked to follow. It's like, okay, mod, go check out Bob69, please. And it's like, oh, actually, that's my friend Bob from school. Yeah, that's fine, you know. But like, just allow us to moderate shit better.
Yeah. So definitely like the tools on YouTube were extremely lacking. You could like hide people, you can hide their comments, you can hide them completely. Like you can do like on an individual comment level or just all of their comments going forward. But I want Twitch to do better because I want to remain on Twitch as a platform because I think Twitch overall is still friendlier than YouTube is community-wise when it comes to marginalized creators. But a lot of the raids are currently happening on Twitch and targeting marginalized streamers, often POC streamers and queer streamers in particular. And I fortunately haven't been hit by a raid yet, and I'm crossing my fingers that it continues that way, but like the amount of time like I and my mods have had to spend just like preemptively banning bot accounts, even with like the automated things that other people have made for us to use, like not even Twitch, that other people have made. It's still like, I'm like, this is such a waste of my time. It's so annoying that I have to like continually do this and check before streams to add any newly made bot accounts. I would love for Twitch to implement that follow age thing. I was thinking for chats, but actually for follows at all would also be really great. To be like, you are not allowed to follow my channel until your account is, you know, like this many hours or days old.
I mean, they could just have tools that check people that are like how they're following. Like if they're following lots of profiles in quick succession.
Yeah, that's bot activity.
Yeah.
Like a person's not going to be able to do that.
I mean,
games have that. It's like you perform too many actions too quickly, you cannot perform another action. Like,
yeah.
It wouldn't stop it, but it would slow it down.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us understand that we can't stop this activity completely, but the goal is to make it more and more difficult so that fewer people will do it because it won't be as easy for them. Because a lot of these people are doing it because it's fun for them, and when it gets to a point where it's more effort than it's worth, then they're not going to do it.
I mean, going back to the what was I going back to?
YouTube?
Nope, it's gone. It's gone. Just left.
I feel this. Yeah. My ADHD brain feels this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Bro, I was like, I had a point.
It was a really good point, but I can't fucking remember what it was. Anyway, with the you said that you haven't really experienced the hate raids or any such thing, but the fact is that you are in that like community that is being targeted. What has it been feeling like now that this is a thing that we're having to more and more worry about? What has been that feeling for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a chilling effect, and I think that's happening to just people in general, particularly in marginalized communities. And I think that's the goal for a lot of the hate raiders, is to make us feel so unsafe that we won't go live and be on the platform anymore. So I think it's super important for a lot of us to I'm super, super grateful for the people who have been making tools that Twitch has not provided. And I do hope that Twitch really gets their act together going forward, because I would not like to leave. I have a lot of friends on this platform. There's a lot of good work being done on the platform, and I wish that the people higher up would make it a higher priority. But yeah, it's rough. And the beginning of the surge in hate raids actually happened shortly after I had been experiencing like a weekend of harassment on Twitter, where this had happened shortly after I had put up a video, because early in August, several women in the competitive Splatoon community had come out with stories about how they'd been sexually harassed by this one particular player in the community. So I made a video about it for YouTube, about it, the incident specifically, but also just talking in general about sexism in gaming communities, in the industry, and also just in our life, even if you're not into games or tech industries or whatnot. And the response to the video was overall very positive, and it got shared around by a lot of people who were like, we need to do better. Please listen to this. Please check out the resources that Rose shared in the video. And what then followed after that was a huge amount of backlash at an unrelated clip I had posted about a Splatoon clip from like a gameplay thing where I had called out playfully during a stream about somebody. It's a very funny sounding term, but it's called squid bagging for Splatoon, because you play like squid humanoids, and you have the option to go in and out of your squid form, so you swim through ink when you're in squid form. And one taunt that some people do, if they're being toxic, is that after they kill you and like your camera focuses on them for a few seconds, they'll go in and out of squid form and just sort of like, that's called squid bagging. And I had pointed out like, hey, this is rude. Maybe don't do it with people who aren't your friends and like don't actually know you. It's considered aggressive. And then I also pointed out, I was like, I know this isn't exactly teabagging, but there's a reason why it took on the name squid bagging, and this is what teabagging is. And a lot of people took that and were very upset that I was pointing out this, and I got like just like a full weekend of angry mentions for my Twitter. So I had to like completely mute for my own mental health, and I had to like go into therapy the next week to talk about it, because I was just like, this is overwhelming and I cannot take it. And the hate rates then happening around that time, for my next stream, when I came back from that, I was just like, oh god, I have to be so on top of everything. I have to spend like a couple hours before my stream setting up a ton of things, prepping myself and rehearsing in my head, what am I going to do if I get raided? Because I was like, a part of the Splatoon community like really hates me right now, and with hate raids coming up, I don't know if like this is going to converge into something on me. And fortunately it hasn't, but it's still like, it's so much work to have to like emotionally and just time wise to put in all the energy to be like, okay, well, if I am targeted by hundreds of accounts at once, what am I going to do so I'm not paralyzed in the moment?
Would you say that you do very much still want to continue streaming?
I definitely do. I've made a lot of fantastic friends, and because I have some issues with YouTube's features in the community, I'll certainly keep an eye on YouTube gaming in the future to see if that ends up changing for what I can see to be better. I could potentially make the switch to YouTube. Currently, I still want to stay on Twitch because it feels a lot more queer friendly and friendly to women, at least in the communities that I swim around in and whatnot. I'm really, really hoping that Twitch implements a ton of tools for us and that they're more transparent and will, I think, and I don't know how to like properly organize this. I don't know if it's something that Wreck-It Raven, who started the huge hashtag movement for it, I'm not aware of exactly what she talked about in her conversation with people at Twitch, but I would love for us to have like actual timetables for when they're going to have certain things done, and for us to be able to hold them to certain demands and be like, okay, well, if you don't have X done by this date, then your consequence for something we'll do is Y, to hold them to an actual like amount of accountability. Because right now they're a huge giant in the streaming industry that could change in the future depending on moves that YouTube makes. And I don't exactly know what's going on with Facebook gaming, but I hear that they've been making some moves. I would love for more competition to Twitch, just because I want Twitch to do better and to feel like they have to care about us. But they did have a huge loss in viewership yesterday. I think I saw that there were like 1 million fewer viewers on the platform. So I'm like, good. Good. I know a lot of us want to stay on Twitch, but we're also like, you need to do better or we will be forced to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the reason that I ask is because I know that of several individuals, partners that have decided to quit streaming because of this. I myself am looking for full-time jobs now because I've got to that point where I'm so tired. I'm so tired by it. And this is the thing that I think, in terms of this discussion, that we should take away is the fact that marginalized creators have not only the strain of being a Twitch streamer, just everyone has stress from being a Twitch streamer, having your face out in your in public. You've got your privacy, you've got content constantly has to be relevant. There are various things that you need to be, but then add being in a marginalized group to that, the hate raids, the constant harassment based around that, the some people obviously with disabilities or illnesses on top of that. It's exhausting, or it is for me. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah, so over the last 2 weeks, I've been hate raided 6 times. Different events. So with my experience in the games industry, community management, social media management, like customer services, all that kind of thing, it's very much water off a duck's back with me. But the day before yesterday, I was meant to stream, and I literally just didn't. It was just I can't be fucked. I just cannot be fucked. Is it worth it? Like, I love doing it. I want to do it. I want to hang out. But it was like I could play games with my husband, or I could deal with this again. Like, do I want to deal with it again? And so it comes in different forms as well. So I then went to Ko-fi and I wrote up a bunch of articles, and I did an interview with Insider and that kind of thing. And they were like, "What is a hate raid?" And I was like, "It comes in like 5 different variants, and it's either racist and like Nazi comments, it's bot follows, it's attacks in other places, it's doxing, it's IP scrapers. It's not just one way that people are being harassed." And as you said, Rose, it massively worse for BIPOC people and queer people, to the point that a couple of people like Wreck-It Raven have been personally doxxed, and their children have been doxxed, like in bot accounts with their names. One person, I'm not going to say their name for protection, but we probably know who they are, has had accounts made accusing them of paedophilia and using those to attack other people, which is not that person at all. I have spoken to that person a lot and consider them a friend. There is no fucking way. But of course, people are using one of the things you just do not want to be associated with to attack others. Not even to their faces. It's getting much, much worse. Because, I mean, I planned to go live yesterday on Twitch and to talk about it, and I did it on YouTube instead, because it was like, it's getting very dangerous, and our Twitch only going to change something when someone loses their life.
Yeah, and one of the huge issues I find very, very annoying, you have to juggle reporting and banning and blocking, because I've been taking training with Hollaback lately for their 5 Ds of bystander intervention, not only for helping other people if I happen to be in their chat or like witnessing things on Twitter, but also for myself to know what to do. And one of the huge points is documentation, and that's really important, especially if you're being doxxed, because you need to go file a police report. If you're lucky enough, the police will actually take it seriously, but the police are not always known to do that, and there are plenty of reasons why, especially BIPOC people, might not want to go to the police, because the police are most certainly not going to take their issues seriously.
Yeah.
But just with like the documenting is so annoying when you're just like, okay, so we have to go I have to screenshot this in time, but we also have to make sure that we're really quickly banning and blocking this person. But there's like so many people and they're all doing it at once. It's just like, it's too much to handle, even if you have a very prepared moderation team, that you really do just have to like shut down your stream and be like, okay, y'all, we're like completely like, we're hitting the panic button, we're like freezing everything, we have to go deal with this, to keep our community safe, but also to keep ourselves safe, especially if there's doxing happening, which is really, really serious. For anybody who doesn't know what doxing is, it is essentially somebody putting out your personal information out there publicly, particularly for nefarious means, to encourage people to go find where you live and either actually harm you or just make you feel unsafe, which is still a huge deal, because mental health problems are still a huge problem, and if you're like, nobody wants to feel unsafe and hyper vigilant all the time. If you're, like, we should just be here enjoying our time streaming. Like, we're just here vibing. That's all we want to do, is just be here and have a good time, and make friends, have a good community. And some people are not happy about us being here.
Yeah. The thing I've definitely found with the hate raids and people saying, well, what should Twitch do? They've already given you tools. Didn't you know you can do X and Y? It's like, think of it like COVID, and it's really shitty to say it this way, but it's an illness. The actual hate raids themselves are the product of an illness that is spreading throughout the platform. And we can keep throwing fucking paracetamol and ivermectin at it all day. It does fucking nothing. We can only treat the symptoms that we see. We can't treat the illness. That is on the platform. And having my background in games industry, I am very much aware, and I still impress it upon everybody else. It's not the individuals at Twitch we need to be going at. No hate goes towards a single person, please. I don't want to see it, because it's not the individual's fault. If you can speak to them, it ain't their fault. The people making these decisions are going to be way, way, way higher up and probably don't really know what's going on. That's not to say we should find out who they are and shout at them either. No, it means we need to be much more sensible and do things like the protest, because for every person saying it did nothing, another news article went out. It makes a difference, but what streamers can't do is cure the illness. All that can be done is Twitch. Only Twitch can do that. Only YouTube can do that. Only Facebook can do that. The people that own the platform can do that. We can't. And it takes a long fucking time. Each article I wrote about protecting communities was 10,000 words, and I put 5 out. That's a lot of work, and you don't get paid for it either. And people actually pay you less when you're getting hate raided, because they don't want to sit around in a shit stew of horrible Nazi comments. Yeah. So then you're being paid even less for the work you're doing.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. And I think for a lot of the people who are like, well, why don't you just use the tools that you have, don't realize that we are already using those tools. We're like, no, we're using them, but they're not enough. We need more. We need like the restrictions on follow age. We need restrictions on how many accounts, how many Twitch accounts can be tied to one email address. I don't know exactly what that right number should be.
Like, it should be one. It should be one, like every other website.
I've only ever used one, and I'm like, I just made a new account for like my bot account. I'm like, that's it. But so I can see maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most, but I'm like, you should not be able to have unlimited accounts tied to one email address. Yes, there will be people who will spend the time to find ways around that and to automate making additional email accounts to get stuff verified, but that's still making it more difficult for them. And the goal is to make it more difficult for them while also providing tools for us to also, set to what's comfortable for us. Because for some people, maybe they're going to want like super, super heavy moderation. Maybe some people don't want things quite that intense or don't need them to be quite that intense. And also being able to change them for particular streams and whatnot. Certainly when people are featured on the front page, they're like typically like, okay, we're going to be more serious about what is allowed here, because things can spiral out of control very, very quickly.
The security document they send you when you go on the Twitch front page proves that they know you're going to get blasted. And that's why they say they won't let you on there with a mature flag. They won't let you on if you don't have auto mod. They will remove you if you have X and Y running. If you don't have this running, make sure you've hired moderators. They know what's going on, and they know the harassment they put you up for. And they just tell you it's your fault and to deal with it. The thing that makes me kind of pissed is that the auto moderator, if you set it to level 1, which you would expect wipes out harassment, it says it'll do some moderation on racial slurs. Not all of them, just the few it thinks are okay to, or like are so bad it has to get rid of. The rest are fine. It's like, no, they should be pre-banned on your platform. All of them. They should not be there. And yes, like each word will have 2 million variants because they allow various different characters to be used. But that's not our fault. That's not something we do. That's something the platform should do. I don't get it.
Yeah, I and I can't remember what it is. 'Cause I have it tied to my stream deck to just like bring up when I start streams now. I think the Twitter account was like Stop Hate Bot or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah, and they have like the big panic button. And I think they
Mhm.
also had an area set up for all the variants for certain slurs and whatnot. Because one huge problem for people were like, oh well, why don't you just ban those words? It's people are getting around those by using similar looking characters from like
Yep.
different alphabets and whatnot to get through the banned words list and
Yeah,
whatnot.
there was
And
a tweet
it would
just
be
demonstrating
yeah.
how many variations there can be of one character change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
like how
like,
many days it would take to like
right.
ban all of those.
And you
Yeah,
have
the
to go
word
through
jogger.
that manually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word jogger had
Yeah.
2 million variants using the languages allowed on Twitch. And I know that if you use the commander root banned word bot, it's 35,000 ban terms it suggests. And if you don't have a bot and you have to enter 35,000 terms, well, that means you've got to read 35,000 slurs and enter them all in manually because there's no way you can upload a folder or a file. You have to enter them in individually and reload the page.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
I would love the ability to be able to actually like load in like a text file.
Yeah.
Like these are the words that I want banned. Like, you know, they have like an enter after each one or a comma after each one. Like
Yeah.
I know there are things they can do. I am not adept in software engineering to know
Yeah.
exactly how long it takes for these tools to be implemented, but they should have been implemented years ago is the
Yeah.
thing, which is why I'm mad. I'm like, why are we waiting until people are getting hurt at this, especially at this volume? Like
Yeah.
why wasn't this a priority years ago?
Thing is, I genuinely am boggled by the concept that there are now accounts that are grabbing people's IPs if you click on them. Like the entire concept that that's even something that's feasible, that they haven't, you know, put a stop to. I mean, that is like, even if we just completely remove everything else, okay? Yeah, fine. You're going to allow slurs. Oh, fine. You're going to allow people to create unlimited bots from one account. Sure, fine. Whatever. There are actual accounts grabbing people's personal information for personal attacks.
Yeah.
That...
And the thing is, yeah, they are catfishing accounts. Literally, because I checked out a few of them when I was writing up my articles, and well, first things first, some of them were days old and had 40,000 followers. That should have been flagged to Twitch instantly, and if it wasn't, I don't get it. Why did it need manual review? That, if like working in the games industry, obviously I can't say everything, but that would have been flagged. That would have been a flagged thing if an account suddenly had that much that quickly without any actual, you know, time logs. So that should have been flagged, but they've had 40,000 followers, and well, now I'm just revealing myself as the pansexual imp I am, but they have very sexy women as the profile pictures with big tits and red lipstick and just anything that kind of makes you go, oh, I wonder who that is. It's made to want you to click on it. That's not the person running the account. It's a catfish. So it's made to make you go, I want to look at this picture. So you click on it or go, wow, somebody with 40,000 followers is following me. That's cool. Who are they? Oh, great. Now I've been doxxed.
Yeah.
And that's all of them. Like, if it's got a Nazi profile picture, no one's clicking on it. They're being designed very much so that you want to click on them. They're also being very careful not to put things like numbers in the name for a lot of them because it looks less legit. It's not good. And I don't get why, like, and I watched one of Twitch's live streams, and all credit to the hosts. They were doing the best they could, and they genuinely did seem like they gave a shit. And that's why I say it's not an individual's problem here. But they were like, oh, you know, we understand that it's a lot of man hours and a lot of work, but please report things. I'm like, no, I will not sit here and report 3,000 bot accounts that have followed me. I won't. I'm not doing an individual report. Like, pay me, then I will. But you're not gonna, and you already take 50% of my wage, so no thank you. I'm not gonna do that. Please, somebody else. Like, you should be able to track these. They shouldn't be able to exist en masse as they do, not the 380,000 of them that are currently known of on the platform.
Yeah, it's like, I'm always like, I know Twitch is trying. And I know there are plenty of individual employees there who really genuinely care. But I'm like, but as a whole, I need them to do better. I know they're owned by Amazon and Mr. Jeff Bezos, CEO entrepreneur born in 1964. But oh my god. I'm just like I'm very done with capitalism, and I'm just like I'm always like this is frequently down to money, and I know that Amazon just does not really care about Twitch, and people high up at Twitch are probably reporting to people at Amazon and don't particularly care about people who are working beneath them or people who are using the platform and we are basically like their contractors. Like, we are basically freelancing for Twitch.
We sign a contract.
We especially if you're affiliated or partnered, like we've signed a contract, we've given them tax information, we're getting paid. Like, we are contractors. And I've had some terrible contractor experiences in the other industry that I work in, but I'm like, damn, at least they cared about my personal safety.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's a case of, if you're going to treat this as a business and take half of our income, then you best bloody well treat us like the employees that you're supposed to be, which obviously we all know Amazon is great at.
Yeah. What a surprise that the company that makes people pee in bottles does not care about us.
I was going to say, we're all going to get some lovely, like, branded soda bottles turn up soon. Just so you can, pee on stream. So, and then they'll ban you for it. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. God forbid we show a bit of sternum or...
God, no, that's the thing, though.
Unless it's in a bikini, then it's fine.
The platform really does confuse me, and that's where it very much does start to feel like a boys' club sometimes, is the S word that you're not allowed to say was banned, but not the word whore. And there's been lots of terms that are used to take the mickey out of men banned, which is fine, I will say, because nobody should be getting taken the piss out of. Nobody should be. But it's very much this could affect our cis male peoples in the company or who are streamers. Let's ban that. But the other things can stay. But also at the same time, if you read out a hate comment somebody said on your platform, we will ban you, but not ban the bots. Because that's happened quite a lot. But also at the same time, if somebody comes in and says something very nasty to you, you're not allowed to react a certain way, because then we'll ban you. It's like, wait, hold on. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem correct. So, it's not protective. It's very much, well, one foot forward, two back. Like, we make a hot tub category, but no, we're not going to protect you, and we'll have this competition for a new emote, but we're not going to protect any of the people that we put on it, and then we'll choose a lizard as the picture anyway, which that one annoyed me. It's like, you already have a Komodo emote. What are you doing? This is not...
Because they're all lizard people secretly.
Oh god, no. But then that's a bloody fucking racist dog whistle in of itself. So I'm not sure how they got away with that one, but hey. Yeah.
So I feel like there's been a lot of visibility that's come out of this, especially over, as reporters have been writing articles about a day off Twitch. And even as somebody who's somewhat involved as an activist, like, I don't exactly know what our next step should be now that we have more and more eyeballs on us and people are acknowledging that it is a problem. But, like, how do you take on Amazon?
Consistency. I think the next step really that's being discussed is that a consistent blackout to show them that we're not going away. The problem is that how do you take on Amazon? I mean, even saying this currently live on Twitch. I am shitting myself that my channel is going to somehow disappear because I'm saying something against Amazon. But
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that they understand is money.
Yeah, so like I've personally encouraged a lot of people in my community. I haven't been like, you stop subbing to me on Twitch, but I'm like, hi, if you would like to switch your support
Go
to
to
Fan House or
Ko-fi.
Ko-fi, here are my links.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to encourage my community to go towards Ko-fi because A, I get the money that they intend for me to get. B, I can put my shop, my commissions, my photos, my blog, and subscriptions on there, link it up to my Discord. I can then start like actually, you know, doing a lot more content on that, which I couldn't do on Twitch, which it tries to remove from you because they only want income going through them. So, you know, when you couldn't push your Patreon and your OnlyFans for some people, it's like because they all want it going through them. And yeah, the only way really is to take away their control over the income, because that's all they'll understand.
And I guess that the people making the most amount of money on the platform are the top 5,000 streamers. They're making an exorbitant like percentage, but still, a 10% drop is a 10% drop, and that's enough for any businessman to shit themselves 3 times over. Like, it's still a lot of money. We're so used to breaking things down into percentage, like COVID. Oh, 98% of people are fine. All right, cool. So that's what, 4 or 5 million deaths? That's a lot more when you actually put it in numbers, not just percentages. It's a lot of money, and if that's all they care about, then that's where you have to hit them. And at the same time, like, yeah, I like Twitch. Twitch has been the impetus for raising a lot of money for charity this year, and being able to do really great things and put together a community. And like, I mean, I'm physically crippled. There's not a lot of jobs I can do, and I have been able to forge somewhat a career, but I can't do that while also being told to off myself for being disabled. Like that was a fun day. Like that's great.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel that it's a case of the reason that I do this is because I can't do other things, and the fact that I've got to the point of looking for full-time jobs again to put myself into a situation where I'm probably going to make myself iller again because it's got so bad. But the reason I do this is because this is what I can do, and this is something that I have control over, and that control is being taken away, and my ability to do it is being taken away. And yeah, it's a case of like, I don't want to go live anymore. It was bad enough as it was, you know, just generally having anxiety, having doubts, being on the grind that is encouraged with the Twitch partner program. It's you have to grind to be accepted and approved of. Like, even that was enough already for me to question every time I go live whether or not I can fucking be bothered anymore. But for this, I mean, if that's how I'm feeling, I cannot imagine what people like Raven and those that have been hit every single time they have gone live feel like. So yeah.
The first raid I got was a bunch of racist nonsense, and I mean, I am the same color as cream cheese. It obviously wasn't a copy paste intended for me, or they didn't give a shit that they were sending it. It was just the message they had and the message they sent. After I responded to that one laughing, they started sending much more targeted direct ones. But the first one was just a hate message to whoever read it. And it's not, and I really want Twitch to know, it's not just targeting the streamers. Oh, hello. It's not just targeting the people with their cameras on. We don't know what our communities look like. We don't ask them all to fill out a bloody like census form when they come and follow us. I don't know who is a BIPOC person in my community, but I know that if they saw that message coming in that I can't do anything about, how the hell are they going to feel safe coming back to the community?
Exactly.
Regardless of how much work we've put in to make it safe, and regardless how much we can do. Like the message that came in that said, "You disabled piece of shit, when are you going to kill yourself?" I was like, oh, it's going to kill me early anyway. I might as well not bother. It's a waste of money. That's fine for me. But I know I've got people living in my chat with suicidal ideation. Like, that's not just dangerous to me. That puts everyone else that comes in danger.
Yeah, and it's not okay at all. You really can't expect that everybody's going to be okay reading that.
No.
And it's a lot of responsibility on yourself as the streamer to have to deal with that. I saw somebody earlier in the chat bring up the comparison of like Uber drivers for how a lot of us streamers really feel like we're being treated. It really is just like a lot of the responsibility is treated as our individual responsibility to deal with. And while I know that some streamers were not aware of what minimal tools we have, of like what they were, a lot of us really are very aware of what the tools are. And we're like, they're not enough. We need more.
It feels, for a want of a better word, it feels like it's being mansplained to us about what our tools are, when 9 times out of 10 we know what the tools are. We spend pretty much all of our waking hours thinking, breathing, and doing things for our businesses. It's we knew what the tools were.
We're very familiar with them. More familiar than we should need to be for our own safety.
Sometimes it's a little bit of an obsession, but
It's unfortunately still an obsession that's not necessarily paying off.
No,
because it's still getting through, even with email verification and my personal block list that I personally entered. As I say, 6 got round, and at least 3 of them were message based. And it was only when we put follow modes on that the people running them outed themselves, because the main person running the hate raid had to come in, follow, and say something in the chat, and then the spam follow started. So I knew who was running them instantly. But that's not the problem, because that one person went and made another account and now has screenshots all over Twitter of them talking in Discord about how funny it is and how they were broadcasting the hate raid to everyone else to get the streamer's reaction, and how other streamers who did react are now freaking out because they feel they let somebody else win. And while that shouldn't feel like it's a real issue, it can be. Like, the idea that you let somebody else get you down does make you feel like shit. And then they have it on video and they laugh about it and you can't do anything about it. Like, that.
Also, yeah, there are YouTube creators who actually, partnered YouTube creators who go out there and harass streamers, record it, and then put it up on YouTube and make money off of those videos. I'm just like, it really feels like damned if you do, damned if you don't for when you react to trolls and harassers.
Collectively we make fools of ourselves enough to fulfill that embarrassment quota. Because seriously,
right?
Oh god,
this is why I have respect for Jacksepticeye. He just goes onto Twitch and raids people, sends them money, and then records doing that, and then puts that on YouTube and goes, look how nice these people are, look how happy they were when I gave them cash. It's like, thank you, Jack, that's a nice thing to do. You got your content and you gave somebody money, good boy. Instead of, I went in and hate raided and then they cried, lol. It's like, well, yes, of course they did. Like, that's a shitty thing to happen. If 100 people turned up in my house and told me to off myself, I'd probably be fairly upset. Like,
well, yeah, trust me, if you want to see me cry, I can. There's plenty of things that I can do.
I could just send you a picture of a cute bat and you'd start sobbing.
Yeah,
like, it's not difficult.
I'm playing Spiritfarer right now.
Oh
And I
gosh.
recently got
Okay,
back
yeah.
to it. Yeah, the very, very like first time I played it, was just like bawling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
anyway, shall we
I was gonna
move
say
on because we seem to be ranting about this?
I just need a second to grab my painkillers, but I will be back in just a moment.
Okie doke.
You can enjoy my cat's butt for a moment.
I love them.
So our next question is, what are some of the systemic issues you have seen or heard of that really need to be discussed? What response would you like to see to this?
One of the huge issues is I feel like we aren't really listened to. Like, we listen to each other when we're like ranting about things happening, but the people who need to listen aren't. And one thing I really wanted to hammer home in the YouTube video I made about Splatoon, sexism, and that community and gaming in general was that we really do need more male allies to be our accomplices, really, and to be willing to get their hands dirty and to actually stand up for us and to boost our voices, whether that be through retweets for things, but also not just like boost the awfulness that happens to us, but also be like, oh, I'm gonna boost a marginalized creator who did something really, really awesome or is really, really happy, proud, joyful about something. Because I mean, so many people, so many toxic guys are like, girls aren't good at games. And we shouldn't like feel like we need to fight that and prove ourselves, but it can be helpful for at least some of them to actually have evidence shown to them, like, oh no, like, like your gender has literally nothing to do with whether or not you're good at a video game. It has nothing to do with it, or whether you like games. And I would really like for more men to actually stand up, particularly, and it doesn't even need to be something like some big grandstanding comments. Like, it can be like, there've been plenty of times where I've been playing Overwatch and I've gotten a sexist comment, and there were very few situations where a male teammate actually spoke up just to be like, hey, that's not cool, don't say that. And the silence is really isolating feelings. You feel very alone, like you have nobody there who has your back. It's very, very frightening to be in that situation. And also, if more men were willing to speak up quickly when that sort of stuff happens, I really do firmly believe that the more times somebody's harassment is met with a consequence, even just a small one of a comment of, hey, that's not cool, that's going to add up over time, and that will get not all, but some people to recognize where they're being hateful, and that if they want to have friends, they need to stop doing that. So that's a big issue, and it's something that I think people need to work on in their own personal lives, to be like, I'm going to hold my friends accountable, and I hope that they will do the same for me, because we're all human and we'll all make mistakes, and it's certainly a lot easier to go to a friend who trusts you and to be like, hey, that comment you made, it was bad, and I'm going to explain why it was bad, and to try not to like dogpile you in why I think you were wrong about this and why it hurt somebody's feelings. And because you're my friend, I want you to do better. And if we had more of those situations, then perhaps some people wouldn't continue down the line of getting entrenched in really toxic communities, which seek to really isolate these people and make these men feel very alone and very hostile towards marginalized communities. Like, I know there are some people we can't stop. We can't stop them from going to those sorts of communities and becoming incels and shooting people. We still have a huge problem of mass shootings in America, and there's only so much we can do as individuals to stop that. But I do firmly believe that there are always things we can do as individuals for people in our lives to not only hopefully stop people from going down that path, but also to make sure that we're paying plenty of attention to people who are targeted by harassment in our lives. And I mentioned the Hollaback 5Ds of bystander intervention. I do really, really recommend people look into those. They break down, I forget the exact names for all the 5 different modules of intervention. They all start with the letter D. But they're all very, very helpful, and 4 of them are indirect, and it's recommended like, hey, if you don't feel safe, because perhaps you're marginalized as well, there are 4 indirect ways of helping somebody where you don't have to actually like stand up to the person who's doing the harassment. Like you can actually, and it is often more important to make sure you're there for the person who's being targeted and to be like, I'm here for you, you're not alone. What can I do for you? Do I need to document for you to like save you some emotional space? Do you want me to like boost a post of yours? And when I was being harassed, it really did mean a lot to me when people reach out to me privately to be like, hey, I'm really, really sorry to see what's going on. I think the work you're doing is awesome, and I hope that you continue to do it.
I definitely think a lot of these sort of like just in the video game lobbies, stupid sexist comments that are made, I don't know if the people saying them even like mean them that much. There's definitely an underlying herder, I think this is funny. But I know, so one of the most things I regret in my life was when I was like 16, I just started college and I was a dick to a friend of mine. And I basically for an hour bullied him, and I felt so bad. And I immediately like I think the next like day or two, I went to that person and said, I was a massive bitch. I am so sorry. But I didn't mean the things I said, and I know I didn't actually think them. I thought other people would think I was cool if I said them. And it still hurts me to remember me being that much of a douche, but you have to learn from these things. But I think, yeah, you're exactly right, Rose. If people actually stood up to their friends and said, you do know we're not laughing, right? That's not actually funny. Telling this woman to go back to the kitchen is not actually amusing any of us. I don't think they'd actually be wanting to make the jokes any further. I don't think they actually think it. I think most of them just think it'll make them popular and that the rest of the lobby will laugh with them. Just like fucking Ninja and his tweet about his naked girlfriend coming in with a sandwich. Like, yes, bro.
What was that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm winning a game of League of Legends and my breasted wife boobily bounced in with her bazongas with a sandwich. Like, great. It's like, that sounds like a cool thing. Why did you need to tweet it? Like, did it make you cool with the boys? Are the boys respecting you now? It's the same thing. It's just...
I think it's that mentality back from the point where all gamers were assumed to never get girlfriends. I think it's a remnants of that with that, because it's a case of look, I'm getting laid too.
Yeah,
sure.
It's such a weird idea, and I know some people are much more perceptible to being like influenced by peer pressure or perceived peer pressure, being like, well, I'm just expected to act this way, so I should. And there's only so much we can do as individuals, but together with, you know, actually forcing, there's only so much we can do. But if we could get more platforms to actually like make consequences quicker and more strict to certain things that are being said on their platforms and things that are being spread on their platforms, in conjunction with making sure that we have our own personal responsibilities with our own personal relationships, I do think that we can move towards things being better. It's hard to fight systemic sexism because when it's part of the system, and a huge part of that is because of capitalism, there's only so much that we can do as individuals. We are just tiny little cogs in a machine, and protesting is wonderful. It is unfortunately not a huge part of American culture, which makes me sad every day. That is just not a thing that we do very often over here. But I would love for more of us to be able to come together for each other individually, and also to be like, no, we're not consumers, we're people, and we matter not just for the content we consume or produce.
I mean, I feel like this also highlights another issue that was coming up with the case of Twitter, is that so much has turned into a concentration on status over protective. For example, with Twitter, verification is getting people getting rejected from verification because they've not reached a certain level, despite there being evidence that they are the people that they say they are, that they're in the public eye enough to qualify for the need to be protected, and that people are actually emulating their profiles. Wasn't that the entire point of being verified on
They've already
Twitter?
paused verification again. They've already said they aren't doing it because it was too busy.
Yeah. I know a lot of moderation is very expensive because, proper moderation is you're going to have actual people reviewing things and whatnot. The goal is to have a lot of things automated, but at the end of the day, we do need some amount of people looking over things and also coming up with new ways to make tools and whatnot and how to respond to certain things. And I know that because it's a cost to them, they're not going to be prioritizing that because it's not in the short term, it's not making them money. And I would love, at least speaking their language of money, to recognize that for a lot of people, we are going to just feel the need to move off of a platform because they're not spending the time and money and resources to hire people to actually make things safer for us. Like, I would love to have a huge community on potentially Twitch, which is also netting Twitch money, but also I want to make sure that I and my community all feel safe. And right now I'm like, will that be Twitch in the long term? I don't know. I hope so. I hope Twitch does better, but it's like you both were saying, it's hard to really know when things are this bad right now to be like, do I see myself streaming on Twitch in the long term? I don't know.
Yeah. I had a response, but again, my brain decided to abandon it.
I'm back.
I'm sorry, my brain is apparently abandoning me today.
You've got Civ syndrome going on. That's what I just like to call it, when all of the thoughts just dribble out through the holes and all that's left is
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It's like spaghetti. You shake it and sometimes one bit gets through, but then it's just like, oh, the rest is stuck. Like, great.
To be fair, I've managed to construct sentences, so that's in itself an achievement.
It's all right. I just keep remembering that I'm ginger and getting really confused by it because my hair was blue a couple of weeks ago and it has been for 6 months, and I keep being like, oh wait, it's me. It's fine. So
I went from pink to purple and I'm still not used to it.
Yeah, I'm just jump scaring myself, to be honest. I just keep looking up like, go! Oh, no, it's me. It's fine.
Oh dear.
Hi.
Right. Have you got anything to add to that, Paige, or shall I move on? Because my brain, as I said, abandoned me.
I would say that a lot of the negativity that women and femme presenting people, and actually no, let's widen that out, marginalised genders, because I know that this shit is hitting a lot of trans men as well. Some of the sort of strongest trans men I know are getting hit so horribly with a lot of shit saying, you'll never be men. We're going to use things that we used to attack women for you. It's like, oh, fantastic. Great. So even people that are literally not women are getting put down by sexism against women and femmes. People with marginalised genders are being attacked, and it's not just Twitch. It is very much blossoming in other platforms as well. Like, I know a lot of the hate raids that are happening on Twitch are happening because of hashtags or being people that are being found via Twitter and then harassment's coming through. So I know when I used hashtag Twitch do better, the hate raid that I got said hashtag Twitch do better. So it's like, okay, so you got that somewhere. That's how you found us. So it's a societal issue still. That's why adverts still get pulled, like, for insinuating blowjobs and stuff, trying to sell ice cream. And it's like, okay, you could just say your ice cream tastes awesome. Like, women like to eat it as well, not just shove it down their throats. This is fine. Like, it's not just Twitch, but it'd be great if we felt safe enough on Twitch to actually just... It'd be nice if there was a starting point.
Yeah, the multi-platform stuff is definitely frightening. I know, so back when I was at The Escapist during Gamergate, there was a lot of harassment happening within the forums because the publisher of The Escapist at the time, Alexander McCrease, really encouraged them to come over when they were starting to get banned from other sites. He was like, no, come on over, The Escapist will have you. And then a ton of us writers were like, what?
No,
Excuse
thank you.
me? The people who are attacking me are now allowed here? And they would attack me on Twitter as well. I would get private messages through The Escapist. I certainly got talked about on Reddit. Reddit was also a very, very big place. It still is. So much to the point that when I switched industries, still within like a general like nerd industry, people recognized my name and somebody messaged me being like, hey, I don't mean to like alarm you, but I heard a lot of things about you on Reddit about how you are like a feminist and you don't like sexism. And I was just wondering if you want to like ruin these books that you're like helping working for translation. And I was like, oh my God.
Like, why do you still... That offends me.
I was like, why do you all still care about me about this? Oh my God.
You are living rent-free. Just rent-free in their heads.
But also,
like, yes, I'm gonna destroy all of your books.
You have opinions and, you know, wish for people to be equal. Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah, that's
Ow!
really the last straw. Oh, baby.
You little monster. Come here.
Oh dear.
Oh. Well, yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question that I've got is what advice would you say to other creators in your situation? What do you wish others knew about being a woman in the gaming industry?
I know for me, finding my people is very, very important. It's really nice for making sure that you don't feel isolated and alone. It's good to have friends on the platform and whatnot, people you can talk to. And certainly a lot of us trade notes. We're like, oh, I had like a really bad instance of this one particular chatter, just letting you know, because I know they're in your streams. You might want to ban them. Just giving you a heads up. So it's good for a safety standpoint, but it's also good for making sure that you have somebody to talk to who, you know, also probably knows what you're going through. And I would also point out with a caveat that if, you know, you're only ever interacting with streamers who are like exactly your same background, say if you were like a cisgender straight woman, maybe be like, maybe I should diversify who I'm following and whatnot, because certainly intersectionality exists, and, you know, like what I'm going to experience through harassment is not going to be the same as what like a Black woman experiences. And it's things are nuanced, and it's good to have different viewpoints because it helps you grow as a person. And it's also just good for making friendships. I would also say make sure to figure out what your boundaries are. I didn't totally know what my boundaries were when I first started streaming. Like, I wasn't totally sure what I was comfortable with being said. There were certainly like certain things that I would be okay with joking around with friends and whatnot, but I don't necessarily want being talked about on stream or joked about on stream. For a while I was trying to figure out like, okay, well, how do I balance what I'm okay with people who, like longtime regulars, like what am I okay with them doing and saying versus somebody new? You don't have to know what your boundaries are like the moment you start streaming, but it's still a good practice to think about it before you start streaming, and then also to reevaluate as you continue streaming and just figuring out like, what am I okay with? And also reminding yourself that you're not a bitch for enforcing what your boundaries are, because I am like frequently like, I need to please people and be nice, but then I'm like, wait, no, you don't have to be nice if it's for your safety.
Yeah, it's like you're a person too. You don't have to be less of a person to make other people feel like more of a person.
Yeah.
So many times early on where there was that fear of doing anything that people would disapprove of or that would put people off. Oh no, I had to tolerate some of the comments that people would make because you know, otherwise I wouldn't make it, or you know, people would tell others and I wouldn't end up being able to make any success. It takes a while till you realize that's fucking bullshit. Do away with the people that make you feel uncomfortable.
If you get a bad feeling about somebody,
even if they're just giving you a weird vibe, get the fuck rid of them.
If they don't pass the vibe check, they can leave. You can tell them they don't pass, and if they're genuinely just trying and doing it wrong, then they'll apologize.
I mean, this is very. I mean, this is very close to home, and Paige knows the story that I'm about to tell.
The major vibe check fail.
And most of my community also are aware of this. But one of the key things that happened when I experienced this with someone I was relatively close to, where it got to a point where it had got completely out of control. It was definitely making me very uncomfortable. It was definitely interfering with the stream, the community, everything. One of the things that I did in response to that is I informed the people that I thought would have it would affect, not in a oh my god, this is this person, oh my god, like get rid of him, and then bitching and stuff. It's a if you see this person, be warned that this is the experience, without going into too much details, that I've had, and you may want to keep an eye out. And that was in a particular community. It was, you know, I made sure to inform people that were close to me, because the individual was finding every means of trying to get in contact and still be included.
It was cyber stalking.
Huh?
It was cyber stalking, really. Yeah. And it was, it was something that you let other people know about. And I know that a bunch of us then went, oh shit, well, we should push this further because our circle knows another circle that was going to be affected. And I mean, you'd already covered those circles as well as a Venn diagram. But, you know, it was one of those that I will say as well, because, sorry, Drac, I'm just jumping in and probably fucking up your ADHD here. But that sentence really scared me when I was in the games industry, because one of the first things I did hear from a person I met at an event was, well, we do talk, so just be careful. And that scared me, because it was like, you put a foot out of line, you'll be blacklisted. It's not that, but it's that you have to trust each other. And when you work in an industry where, you know, we're still ourselves, but there is a certain level of professionalism. We don't just talk bad shit as well. If you're a really cool member of the community, believe us, we tell each other about you as well, because we want you to go and visit our friends and make them happy too, and be cool friends so we can all talk and have fun times. But like, if you're a genuinely scary person, you will find that these cliques are going to close off to you very, very quickly. Just don't be a douche. Just be a good person, please.
That's the thing. I mean, it is a scary idea that it works both ways. Yeah. So for streamers, you know, the fear that people talk, that information could be spread that is damaging without it actually having any semblance of truth. But at the same time, it's good for streamers to talk to each other. It's good for us to create communities. It is good for it's good for our communities that we talk about our communities. It's also good that we can share that kind of information to protect each other. Because one of the misguided assumptions is that streamers are competitors. We are not competitors. In no shape or form are we competing with each other, or we shouldn't be, anyway. We should be here having each other's fucking backs because no one else has.
Yeah, exactly. And there are tons of chatters who just do not realize how frightening streaming can be, particularly with like all the hate raids going on and whatnot. And with the lack of tools that we have, we really like do compensate by making sure that we have one another's backs. And I've personally only met like mostly super aggressive men who are like, I'm competing with other streamers and I can be the only one good streamer. And I've met far more people, particularly people of marginalized genders and races, who are like, no, we got each other's backs because like we know other people are not going to have our backs. So it's like, I will let you know when somebody is like did not pass my vibe check, and I will give you a heads up like, hey, if you see this person, I'm not telling you to ban them, but like maybe keep an eye out.
Well,
Hi, Strix.
this is why one of the things that really helped me in that in that
Hi, Strix.
time.
Hi, Strix.
Yeah.
Hi, Sai. Bye, Sai.
Something that really helped me in that was the fact that especially the people close to me, without a second thought, were like, no, because they wanted to protect me and my community as a whole, and wanted environments that we were going to frequent to be safe for us. And that's the thing, that's something that is not often talked about in the general Twitter, Twitch verse. That if you have a community of and friends as streamers, you know, protect each other, actually communicate about these things, actually help each other, actually support each other. It can be very lonely being a streamer. You don't know the faces of your community. You don't really know many of your community members unless you've got very specific like situations. And even then people change. But with streamers you can create genuine connections because you're both in the same situation. You're both in those situations. And so stop competing.
Yeah. Like, it's not a zero-sum game. We're all here in the same pot.
It's like anyone that's been to high school probably knows about cliques, or you know, any film. Like if you've never been to high school, any film you've seen is like, oh, those are the jocks, and these are the pretty girls, and these are the ones that are weird and play video games and are greasy and hide in the corner. Like it very much shows the segmentation, and each individual streamer is essentially at first a clique, and biggest streamers I find tend to really hold on to their cliques, just them and their community, and that's how they do this. But I tend to find the most chill communities aren't just one person's necessarily. It's like I'll go into Drac stream, I'm like, hey, 6 of you, I know you. And Drac will come to mine and be like, hey, 6 of you, I know you. And then I'll go to somebody else and be like, somebody I actually talked to recommended you, so I came here. And now I see somebody from their community in mine. And it becomes a much, much, much bigger experience. And it's really nice to actually go somewhere and like, if you go to a party and it's just you, it's like, I don't know who I can talk to, or whether I should get a drink, or if that's rude, or like whether I put my like coat. I don't. But if you go there and there's someone you know, there's someone you can talk to. So I love raiding somebody and going, "Oh, Bob that sometimes turns up. I know Bob. Bob, help me learn who this person is, please. Like that'll help. Like it makes it so much nicer when we actually get to chat together, because it stops being a clique and starts being a much wider community."
Yeah, and I think one of Twitch's like strong points is community. Yeah. There are a lot of different communities on Twitch, but even people who have made the switch to YouTube, I've seen them talk about like, yeah, it's hard leaving the Twitch community because you know Twitch has a very specific kind of various communities, and it can be very sad leaving those.
Yeah, and Rose, you're right as well about intersectionality, because there was a time, a good like 3 years back, where I looked at my Twitter follow list and I was like, oh, this is very monochromatic. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hadn't even thought about it. It was one of those things that in my professional work, there was only some types of people I'd really worked with or been introduced to, and being in the UK, which is not the areas I've come up with, not the most diverse. It's like, I naturally didn't meet a ton of people, but I looked at it and went, Oh no, geez. So I actively tried to look for more people to learn from. And you need to do that with streaming as well, because as you say, like this, like the situation I've experienced with hate raids is nowhere near what some of the black femme streamers I know have gone through, where it's been every single day, every single minute, not just half an hour on the odd Thursday, which I've had. Like, sure, that's shitty, but you don't know what somebody else's situation is unless you actually go and find it. And trying to isolate your streams as well, just to, I don't know, pretend you can make more money. I'm guessing that's all it's about. It's just if they're here, they can't be anywhere else. Then you end up learning a lot more. And you're going to have a lot more people have your back, and you're going to understand how to have other people's as well.
Yeah, you're learning about different people. One of the super annoying things about like algorithmic suggestions is that you are so frequently recommending people who are just like you. Because it's like, oh, you've watched like this one white streamer. I'm going to now recommend you several other white streamers in the same category. Or like if you're on TikTok, it's like you have to go out of your way to make sure you are diversifying your feed on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch. Otherwise, algorithms are going to assume that you aren't going to watch those things. And it is, and I noticed it definitely on TikTok, because when I very first downloaded TikTok and I was going through like my For You page, it was all white creators. And then when I actually started going out of my way to find different people on the platform, and I started watching more videos from black streamers, black video creators, all of a sudden, like, my For You page was a lot more diverse. I was like, geez, like, it's a huge problem of discoverability for people who are marginalized, where it's like we're never seen as a default. So people have to go out of their way to find you.
And a lot of platforms have trouble with marginalization as well. I specifically with TikTok, I remember seeing that there was a disabled woman. I believe she had a pack. Oh, I can't remember the bloody term now. What's it? Colostomy bag. She had a colostomy bag, and she was in her underwear, and she took a nice like video or something, or she was in a bikini or something like that. She took a video, the same as you would see any other skinny white person doing. And I am specifically using that language because those are the people whose videos get to the front page. But she was exactly that, but with a colostomy bag, and they said that she was showing off medical gore and was not allowed to have her video up. And I've seen the exact same with fat people. They are said that their content is inappropriate. Like fat black femmes have put up those videos that the same skinny white women, cis women have, and been told that they are inappropriate. And that's just racism, fat phobia, sexism, and ableism all rolled up into a disgusting little ball. But if you don't go out your way to diversify your content as well, which yes can feel shitty that you have to just go looking for other people and realizing that you probably hadn't done that before, like the platform will just keep feeding you that because it assumes it's all you're into, and then it actually makes the AI more racist and homophobic and everything. Algorithms are bad, man.
Yeah. No, I hate that. I hate that. It's just trying to get to I mean, it's also assuming that I like my content. Like, I hate my content. I don't want to watch me. The last thing I want to do is watch me. I
like
so I want
like
to be recommended
me.
completely different, more diverse creators. Oh yeah. Dear. But yeah, no, the TikTok thing is just, God, it's horrid. Like, I want to see D&D stuff. Do you know what I see most of? Because I've posted a cat videos. It's like, I'm all good with cat videos, but there's a certain point where I get fucking bored because, yeah, okay, there's lots of cats.
Yeah.
I have a cat right next to me that I...
Yeah, I just get those like weird dancing TikToks. I'm like, I think I looked at one ironically once because it was really bad and it was a mockery, and I was just like,
that's all you need.
Yeah, it's like, no, I remember what it was. It was a white woman doing a Hawaiian dance, and people were being like, "Lady, you are fucking this up." And seeing as I watched that one to try and understand what was going on, now that's all I get, and I'm like, oh God, I watched this because it was bad, not because I wanted it. No, stop giving this to me. Like, God damn it.
I mean, I have got stuck in the I think TikTok's trying to tell me something. I've got stuck in the lesbian and ADHD
Drac, I thought you didn't want your content. What are you on about? No, I'm just stuck in cleaning TikTok at the minute. It's like, okay, look, yeah, fine. Actually, that's not too bad.
Hey, watching those little robots go over the windows is like fascinating.
Oh no, forget that. It's just like, this house is a trash heap and now it's clean. I'm like, yes, inject it into my veins. Like, yes, I don't want to do it, but it's fun.
I've got the power washers on my.
They're satisfying to watch. So.
Oh yeah.
Cannot blame you.
It's what we want from Twitch. Scrub out the filth, please.
Yeah, man, if only.
Power wash this platform. Although I've got to say, the childish part of me does get really annoyed whenever somebody does a power wash and they don't draw a penis or something first and then wash it. They're just like, I'm going to wash this stone. I'm like, what, are you boring? Jesus Christ, live a little, would you? Draw a duck or something. Come on.
Yeah, okay, you're cutting that foam, but why is it not in the shape of a dick?
Yeah, it's like, honestly, it's like you could have done anything right now and you chose to be sensible.
Oh dear. Right, before I move on to like last comments and such forth, does anyone in chat have any questions that they would like us to ask? Before we do our last bit of chatting and probably going off on tangents again.
Don't worry, we've got a 10-second delay. I timed it by putting my hand on my chin and counting the time, so it's all right. I can watch the delay, so we'll see. Although I did have something I wanted to add, just unfortunately going away from the dick and butt talk that we normally end up in.
Oh, we haven't mentioned constipation.
Drac,
what is
we will talk about constipation in a minute, I swear. No, actually, the one thing that, because you were talking earlier about how, oh fuck, goddamn ADHD, get back in there, please, brain. So essentially, like the fear of streaming. Really, it's more the anticipation of what could go wrong rather than what actually happens. Like being K-rated for me actually isn't that bad. I laugh at it. Really, it's like, oh, you tried, sweetheart, baby, that was crap. Try better, please. But the anticipation of it is what's really bad. So I am not a skinny lass. I don't know if anyone noticed, but you could roll me back into the sea if I was wearing a swimsuit. Honestly, I'm not a slender woman. And so most of the time my streams would be like, fucking just cut right in here, please. Don't let anyone see I'm fat, because I know that's what's going to go on. And it's in the last like 3 or 4 months or so, I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, yep, really do not give a crap. But it's the fear that this platform could put in you, and Twitter as well. It's more what people could do rather than what they are doing, because when they do it, it's really weak most of the time. But it's the anticipation of it that makes it so much worse. It's just what could happen.
Yeah, anxiety like spikes major. Yeah. Just like having, because you feel like you have to run through like your emergency plan and to make sure that you have that down, because when you're not prepared and if something does happen, then you're like, oh my god, what do I do? Which is why I do appreciate the Stop Hate Bot page having like the panic button where you just be like, pause everything. Nothing is allowed to get through now.
Yeah.
But like it sucks. And I think it's telling that a lot of streamers have therapists. Like I've certainly talked in therapy about streaming and comments I've received from people and body image and really weird comments and just like people being way too overly familiar all the time, and just really awful, nasty harassment. And I've listened to many other podcasts where people have been like, yeah, I stream and I talk about harassment in therapy because I need a therapist for streaming. And I've heard some people be like, yeah, I have like my therapist for general mental health things, and then I have my other therapist who's just I talk to about harassment when streaming, and it's like it's really bad, and I don't know that higher ups at Twitch know or care.
Privilege as well to be able to have a therapist, and like there's a lot of people that don't and can't afford to, or don't trust the idea so much. Like, you know, I am
so thankful that my husband's insurance covers therapy completely.
Which is awesome.
I'd be like, otherwise I would not be able to go to therapy. I've been talking to a friend of mine who does not have insurance, which is like, basically you have nothing that in America. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have health insurance? Well, then you get literally nothing. And she only recently was able to come across an option for people who don't have insurance, then it's cheaper for them. But even then it costs money.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. Not only is it expensive, it's actually a lot of work to go through therapy. It is a ton of emotional labor that you have to do, especially when you're starting out, and not everybody can find the time or space to be able to do that on top of actually getting to talk to a therapist.
I mean, I went briefly to therapy early on when I was streaming. I was going through the start of my diagnosis for a personality disorder. And A, I found it awful. B, I can't afford any therapy now. C, they told me to quit streaming.
Yeah, a lot of them just don't get it.
No.
They're like, oh, just get off the internet. It's like
stop smoking. You can't just you shouldn't just have to cut out the thing you're enjoying because other people are making it bad for you.
That isn't an encouragement to start smoking because of, like,
streaming and start smoking and don't, no. It's more the idea that if you choose to smoke, it's probably something you are choosing to do. Whereas, you know, if you're streaming and you're enjoying it, but somebody else is making it your problem, that's not on you to fix. That's a them problem, not a you problem. You choosing to continue to smoke is a you decision. I won't say a problem because I know for some people it is legitimately an issue, but it's a decision. Whereas stopping streaming because somebody else is harassing you is their problem, not yours.
Yeah. Also, it's like for a lot of us, one, where you're like, okay, well, it's my career. This is how I make money and I survive and I pay my bills. I can't just straight up quit willy-nilly. And it also really, some people are very out of touch. And this also happens when you report to police and whatnot, because sometimes they'll also be like, oh, well, then just don't be on the internet. Just like delete your Twitter account. And it's like, no, for a lot of us, like, there is not this hard line between offline and online. At this point in our lives, they're very intertwined, and you can't just stop being online, especially for like people like our generations and whatnot. Yeah. It would be so weird and different and out of place just to be like, okay, well, I'm just like not going to be online ever again.
It's like online's needed so much, and I've seen this conversation a lot about homeless people, and they're like, well, they've still got a phone and the internet. It's like, yes, they probably have that because it's a requirement to be able to get paid or to have a job or to access billing or your doctor or to phone the police when somebody tries to abuse you or anything like that. And it's just like, the internet is not a luxury anymore. I mean, less than 10 years ago when I got my first job, my dad was like, oh, just go in and hand them a CV. I'm like, sweetheart, no, that's not how this works anymore. And you're getting angry, I know, because you think it is, but that's not how this works. You can't do that anymore. You can't even upload a CV anymore without having to write it out into a separate form because they require you to do both and waste your own bloody time. Like, it's like, I applied to a job a little while ago that was just like, oh, just email us your CV and upload a thing. I'm like, what? Oh, you mean it's going to take me an hour to apply and not 3? Oh my god, I'm applying 3 times. Like, you know, it was just like a breath of fresh air. Like, whoa, somebody respects my time, and as such, I am so excited. Like, this sounds like I'm looking forward to applying now. But the internet's not a luxury. And yeah, one of the chatters says phones are a lot cheaper than a house.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're not just buying phones and using them to build houses. Like, if you want to apply to get a house, you have to have a phone number the bank can call you on. Phones aren't a luxury. The internet's not a luxury. In some cases, it's a literal lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have 2 questions submitted. First one, what makes you feel unwelcome or hated, and what can be done to help fixing it? Mostly so I don't do it by accident. And this is more in the gaming sense rather than the streaming sense.
Yeah. I think it's really, really good to be self-reflective and being like, okay, well, am I doing something that's potentially harmful to somebody? And it's hard to have like a good one-size-fits-all answer to a question like that, because what's going to be offensive to somebody might not be to another person, because we're not a monolith. There are also a ton of intersectionalities, and it's hard to know exactly what's going to come across as harmful to somebody. Like general tips, I always ask people to be aware of their tone in my chat. Just as an example for that, if somebody is wanting to give me a tip for how to do something, I recommend be like, hey, why don't you first check in with me if I want something like that, if I want a tip. Or if you're playing with a friend, like local co-op, and they're playing a new game and you've already played this before, and I know it can be very, very frustrating to watch somebody play something and you're like, I know how to do this, but they don't, and I want to help them so badly. But also, like, it's important to realize that a lot of women are often
Mansplained.
At least, yeah, I'm a little sensitive about people telling me that I'm doing something wrong, because I've heard that so many times in my life, that even if somebody doesn't mean to come off as sexist or aggressive about it, like, it is a bit of like an actual trigger for me. And it's hard in the moment for me to gauge, like, super quickly, is this person meaning harm or are they not? So sometimes it just be good to check in with people. If in that example somebody is struggling in a game, just be like, hey, like, I've played this before, and I was just wondering, do you want me to give you any tips, or do you just want to play this on your own and I'll just like vibe here with you? It's important to figure out what goals are between people, and that can be a lot easier, if you're friends with somebody. If you're playing with strangers, for example, back in the day when I used to play Overwatch and I was in like voice comms with team members and whatnot, generally just like being a nice person, not being super aggressive in how you talk, being willing to acknowledge when you've made a mistake. If somebody else is being really, really aggressive towards somebody, like, whether or not, like, regardless of this person's gender, also, like, you can't always assume what somebody's gender is by their voice and whatnot. Just to be like, if something bad is happening, just be like, hey, person who made awful comments, that wasn't nice of you and you should quit it. And if they continue, just be like, okay, well, like, we're all going to mute you if you continue to say these things. So, like, we're going to, like, socially reject you. And then it's also very, very important to check in with the person who is being targeted. So generally, I would say, to answer this question, it's good to be aware of your body language, your tone, how you're coming across, and just sort of like be aware that everybody is going to have a different experience with something, and you might do something with the best of intentions that isn't received in a positive way, and that's just going to happen. That's life. If you genuinely didn't mean something awful, like, the best you can do is learn how to apologize effectively and to acknowledge and take accountability for something, while also not beating yourself up for making mistakes. To just be a better person and figure out what your goals are and other people's goals and how those can intersect.
Everyone's born ignorant. Like, it's your choice whether you die that way too.
Yeah.
Like,
also, for me, it's also don't assume you know better than a person. Don't assume that you know better than a person just because you've played that game or been in that. Assuming that usually leads to that backseat driving, so to speak, and that assumption that even if they're sucking at it really badly, likelihood is half the streamers are doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a video game.
Maybe they're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
I deliberately, when I do like games from Supermassive, like Until Dawn, I deliberately do a stream where I do it all wrong because it's really funny. But I did have somebody come in and be like, doing it wrong. I'm like, oh my, really? You mean I put down the controller and started laughing for? Oh, that's not how you're meant to play a video game. Jesus Christ.
Hey, I infuriate people with my first person playing of MMOs. Like,
oh,
the
I will
rage.
not third person play an MMO. I don't want to see the back of my hair clipping into my weapons. Fuck off.
But I play ESO and Final Fantasy in first person, and people are so ragey about it.
So weird.
No.
My chat are going ham on it.
The one thing I want to add as well is backhandedness. So and again, now I'm just making it about me again. I apologize, but I am not your typical attractive person. So I don't get people coming in and making horrendously lewd comments at me very much. Normally it's the opposite, actually telling me that I'm not attractive. So that's fun. Thank you for that. But what I do get is oh, you've put your tits away. You're a respectable woman. And I'm like,
I hate that.
Excuse me? Actually, no, I don't have them out in something comfortable right now, and I'm dying in this sweater because you'd say the other thing if I didn't wear a sweater. Like, stop trying to put other people down to make somebody else feel better. Most people don't like it. And being like, oh, you're good at this for a girl. Okay, I didn't realize my boobs meant that I sucked at MMOs, but that's just because I suck. It's not my gender.
They get in the way when you're trying to use the keyboard, and
Ring Fit is a different thing. Okay,
it totally
is.
Thing. It totally is.
Backhanded compliments are really sucky, mostly because they just make me feel well. One, they do make you feel a bit crap. Two, it's not fun to be told you're the acceptable version of whoever you think is unacceptable, because where the hell is that coming from? And three, that's just completely demeaning to other people. Plus, you have no idea. What you see of a streamer is literally what you can see in the camera view. You don't know who they are, and you don't know actually what they do. So why would you backhand this? Like, it's not a nice thing to do. Like, if you're with your friend and you make a backhanded joke and you're both laughing, that's a joke. But if you're the only person laughing at the thing that's being said, you're actually just being a douche. You're not being funny. Like, saying at least you're covered up, that's why I'm going to watch you. It's like, wait, hold on. Wait, so you are just watching people because of what they wear. Got it. So why do you have so much of a problem?
Yeah, and there's a difference between like in-group joking and out-group joking. Like, it's one thing to be like, yes, I am like a woman making jokes about women and whatnot. It's another when like a cis man is making jokes about women, because I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting yikes signals because I'm questioning your motives for this. And so it's just like, generally just, I think somebody in chat mentioned, just like, just understand that a lot of us are strangers. Even if like you've watched me for many months, like and like I know your name, I maybe know a few things about you, it's still an uneven relationship. Like, I don't know that much about you, and also you can't like guarantee that you're gonna know everybody in the chat either. Just like, I'm going to like assume that most people here would treat strangers with a certain amount of respect. And so I always recommend that, like, when you're in a Twitch stream, just think of it as like you're being out in public. You might be in public with some friends, but there are going to be other people around who you don't know. So be on good behavior.
Oh God. And the other one I hate as well, sorry, I just it goes alongside the backhandedness. Stop trying to ask streamers to do things like they're puppy dogs. So the one that I had, and I did call the person out at the time, said, "You look really sexy in your glasses. Can you put them back on for me?" And I was like, No. And now I'm never... Does anyone notice that I don't wear my glasses when I stream, despite needing them to see? I got so creeped out by people being like, yeah, you look sexy in those. Are you a librarian? I'm like, no, I'm a disabled streamer. I'm not making content for you. Like, go elsewhere. You can ask me to like show you my cat or something. That'll do. But I'm not going to start dressing up the way you want me to because you think it's good. No.
My favourite is that I'll donate this if you do this thing for me. It's like, we're not performing fucking monkeys. We're...
If people pay me to sing, I'll do that. But again, it's like...
But that's something that you have provided as a... like, incentive.
It's knowing what your boundaries are.
Rather than coming into a chat and going, do this. Or eat this and I'll donate. Yeah. It's like, you donate first and I'll consider it.
Yeah, I was doing a baking stream and somebody came and said, I bet you've got sexy feet. And I was like, making muffins? What the fuck? Where did you think my feet came into this? You can literally see here up because of the camera angle. What
you don't realise is streamers don't have feet.
No.
We're only half.
Actually, no.
Okay.
No,
like,
I'll discuss everyone. I don't have toenails. You don't want to look at my feet. I had to have them surgically removed, so it's kind of looks like the thumbs from fucking Spy Kids. It ain't good. You don't want to see them.
Although I kind of do now.
I know you can. See, you have to have a rapport to allow these things. But yeah, most streamers, we don't have feet, and it's cool if you're into foot stuff. We're not going to kink shame you, but don't come and press. Don't come and press your kink on somebody you don't know on a non-kink platform.
Right? It's like, we're strangers.
Yeah. Like, go to somewhere like OnlyFans and look for somebody willing to service your kink. If they've said they're into it, do it. But I'm playing video games and saying lewd things because I find it really funny. I'm not here to provide you sexual content.
Not unless it's in a hot tub stream, but you know, that's not sexualized. It's okay because you're in a bikini and in a hot tub, and Twitch is okay with that.
Even if it is sexualized, even if the person is like, yeah, I got hot boobs and I'm gonna sit in this tub, so it's allowed on the platform. You have chosen to view it. The people that give money choose to give the money. It is a transaction that has been allowed. Nobody's being hurt. A bunch of them have the mature flag on anyway, so you have to say you're over 18. It's not luring in children because children aren't allowed on the platform and will be banned. All of these straw arguments of what about the children are just because you want to impress something on women. The same idea with this fucking abortion ban in Texas is not about the kids, it's about controlling women and, controlling people with uteruses. It's not about the children. It never is. Like, if it was about the children, then the schools would still be shut currently. Like, it's not about the kids.
Is that true?
What?
Twitch still hasn't unbanned the person who started the whole hot tub stream thing.
Oh, that I don't know about.
Wait, if that's true, that is insane.
Yeah.
Mainly because they're now making a fortune off of exactly that.
Yeah, I don't know what the context of the whole situation is,
no,
so I won't.
I mean, I assume that there's some other context, but
there are lots of like weekly. You will see #free somebody because somebody has been banned, and literally 99% of the time, the email that they post, the response they get says, "We banned you accidentally." But it was still a manual thing to permaban an account. That's not an automated thing. At least as far as I'm aware, it's not an automated thing. Somebody still has to say, that's permaban, not just temp ban. So people are being banned for flouting rules that aren't even necessarily rules and aren't being applied uniformly. I think that's one of the main problems here. It's that the people harassing aren't the ones being punished. The people being harassed are the ones being punished. For the same thing the harassers should have been punished for, but it's more work to do that than to ban one person.
Yeah, I think that's a huge problem on Twitch.
Yeah.
I've got one more question, and then we'll finish up. Let's try not to end up in huge rants with this one again.
Good luck.
Oh, dear. Right. How do we diversify our Twitch content without putting our own community at risk, like bringing our community to watch other marginalized content creators and potentially opening up our community to seeing those hateful raids?
That is a good question. So this is diversifying. I often hear like diversify in terms of like spreading out where you're getting money and whatnot. But is this more of like a focus on like Twitch itself? How to diversify how you're on Twitch?
I think it was meant about like your communities, as it were.
Or
Yeah.
diversifying is in like supporting more marginalized creators over just the same
people you always see.
Yeah. For me, that would definitely be a case of that's it's always going to be a personal choice. It's always going to be a personal choice of who you end up raiding, right? 2, what I do is my mods and I vet people before we raid them. Like we have like lists of people that have been pre-approved for raiding. So
yeah, it's very rare that I raid somebody I've never been to like their stream before, because I'm like, what if I raid somebody and they're actually not cool?
Yeah.
And they say awful things.
I do, but I usually like watch them for 30 seconds before I decide to raid, or it's just to check, like, you know, is this a really serious discussion? Like, is somebody ill? Do we really want to jump in right this second? Or like this, because I only started doing that after I raided one person and they made like a transphobic joke, and I was like, oh dear God, no. And then immediately went and found my community. It was like, I am so sorry we went there. Oof. Like,
yeah.
Jesus.
I always recommend as a streamer, you know, like a lot of us do also use Twitch as viewers. A lot of us, you know, do also watch people. I find it easier to make connections when I'm a part of one stream team called Spawn Point, which is mostly for competitive Splatoon players, and also just Splatoon players in general. And they've done like charity work, and there are already they're a very inclusive community and have streamers of various marginalized backgrounds. And I find that's a really, really helpful way to like almost vet people and then get to know them. And I'm a very quiet lurker in most streams, and I have to kind of like already have a good connection with somebody to actually like talk a whole lot in streams. So that's what's helped for me. But if you like are not on a stream team, or you don't know of any stream teams to join, or if they're not, you know, like they don't have applications open, the tag system is, you know, like actually great. I've found, you know, as far as I think a lot of the people doing hate raids are mad about the tag system increasing visibility for us, and like I know like the LGBTQIA plus tag and the bisexuality tag has meant a lot to me personally as a streamer for getting people to find me. And I've also then used those tags to find other people who are like me, but then also used, you know, like other tags that don't apply to me to find other people who are also marginalized in other ways. So that's just like a really nice way. Just, you know, go out of your way. We'd have tools now to find people who are not exactly like us. We have better visibility on the platform, and it's easier to find people. And if you find that you have like a good connection with somebody, or like you enjoy their content, there are plenty of bigger streamers who sometimes I'll raid. Like I always really, really enjoy raiding Mermaid Royal. They crack me up. I'm always like, yeah, y'all, let's go raid them, because I know they have a safe community, and I'm happy to bring you over there, and we'll have a good time and we'll laugh. So it's about, you know, like vetting people ahead of time. And if you have moderators with you who also watch people, like they can always give you suggestions, assuming you trust your moderators, which hopefully you do for your moderators. But yeah, it's like being prepared if you want to go raid somebody and be like, I have people in mind who are cool people who are of different identities, and we should also go give them some love.
Yeah, peer-to-peer is a really good service as well, because while Twitch's tags are good, peer-to-peer was there first, and they did the work before. Well, I won't say they did the work before Twitch did, but their work was ready a lot before Twitch's was. And peer-to-peer also allows you to choose intersectional communities. So when I was putting together the Through Our Eyes streams, I was like, oh, I really want to talk to somebody. Like it was when we were talking about health, I was like, I really want to talk to somebody about personality disorder. So I was able to look for that, but I was like, oh, but I'm also this group that I'm looking to find somebody for is mostly LGBTQ people. So I can also choose to see if there's anybody with a personality disorder who's part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So you can actually look for more people who you'd like to learn from, and not just find a single tag and then go from there. I use the tag system on my streams, but I don't tend to use it to find other people. I use peer-to-peer because it's way safer as well. Goldar was just saying. Plus, they do a lot of like highlighting with community. So you go on, there's always somebody new on the front page. Whereas when you go on the front page of Twitch, it tends to be a very creamy palette. And usually has gambling in it, which is somebody with who has had a gambling issue in the past. I don't want to see gambling on the front page of Twitch. Like, that's just massively triggering. I don't want to see it, but there's no way to not see it unless I ban every gambling streamer. Like, this just, yeah, peer-to-peer feels way, way better. I do feel so sad that a lot of their work almost feels kind of pushed out of the way because Twitch brought in the tag system, but it doesn't work anywhere near as well.
It's also great because you can have like as many tags as apply to yourself on peer-to-peer. But if you are, like you're streaming, you're setting up your stream, you're only allowed to add 5 additional tags. So if you're like, if you intersectional identity, like if I wanted to list everything and be like, yes, I'm going to use like she, her, the bisexuality tag, LGBTQIA plus tag, ADHD, anxiety, like all these things, I wouldn't have any tags for like other things relating to the stream for like a casual playthrough or beginner player or like this is ranked play, and it's annoying. But then on peer-to-peer you can be like, okay, yes, like just like these are all the things that apply to me, and you can also set them up of like different levels of like importance for yourself, which is really, really cool. I like peer-to-peer.
It's a really good service. It is, and you have to apply to be on it as well. It's not just, you can't just say this is me, and like obviously that's not saying that they're going to like look at you and be like, well, it doesn't look like you have an invisible disability, so no. But it's more that they're going to check you aren't just choosing every single option and being a troll and trying to make the platform crap. I always know when I go there that the people that are there are who they say they are. I've never gone to a single stream that I found there and been like, you don't seem like the person you said you were. This doesn't feel correct. Like, yeah, it's a really, really good service.
I agree.
They're great. Thanks, peer-to-peer.
Yes, thank you, peer-to-peer.
Yeah, no, I mean, frankly, that what they did was what we needed when we needed it. And honestly, I'll be forever thankful for that because it gave us the opportunity to use the stuff that we wanted to use while we waited for Twitch to get on board.
And it made my job so much easier. The Through Our Eyes streams used to take me 20 or 30 hours to find all 30 guests. And I already had a list for one of them, but I then went on peer-to-peer and was like, this is the category, that we're talking about. Press. Oh, look, 200 streamers. Brilliant. I'll pick some that I like the look of and see who they are. And if I don't think they're right, I can look for more and I can reach out. And it was great. And I've met loads of different streamers. And normally I just go and say, I found you on peer-to-peer. And they're like, oh, awesome. Like, I have an idea. You might be a cool person because you found me on a platform which is safe for cool people who are marginalized. Like, sweet. It's great. It really is awesome. No, we're just shilling for peer-to-peer now.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored, but hashtag am listed.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, we have come to the end of our chat here. Any last words before we leave?
Yeah, I would recommend everybody check out How to Be a Good Bystander. I recommend Hollaback just because I've done their training sessions before. They have like free trainings over Zoom and whatnot that you can do like over a lunch hour or something, depending on like like your time zone. So I recommend just like doing what you can to figure out what you can do to help people in the community, because this is also great for even if you're not marginalized. Just like everybody working together to make things better for everybody else. But yeah, thank you for having me here. I really appreciated it. It's a sad topic, but it's like a really important one. And I want to believe that things are getting better. It's just that change is inevitably slow and disappointing. It's like little baby steps, and I wish we could like take more adult steps faster.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's always the case, isn't it? Paige?
Nothing major to add, just thank you for coming and hanging out with us. It has been a very lovely time, and I'm a massive fan of your decor. I've especially liked Snubble.
Oh, this was from my community for my birthday this year.
Aww.
They were like, my mods, I think my sister, who's my mod, came up with the idea initially. She was like, we should get Rose a cute little thing from Build-A-Bear for the Pokemon collaborations, and they all picked Snubble. I assume because Snubble's pink, and Snubble had a very cute pink tuxedo.
Yeah.
So...
Yep, when I was a little kid, my snake was called Snibbles because my dad wouldn't let me call it Snubble because that was a Pokemon, so we called him Snibbles instead.
Aww.
So, yeah. Schnabble.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us and giving us your time on this topic. Can I get some shout outs, please, for Paige and Rose, please? But yes, thank you both. Oh,
we haven't talked about constipation. Don't take ivermectin. It will make you shit yourself. Done.
Get your goddamn vaccine.
Yeah. And if you can't, legitimately wear a mask, be safe. Just don't yes, I'm also very much aware that ivermectin is used for humans, but don't take the horse medication because you can get it over the counter at vets. Don't do it. Just don't take the horse medication and wonder why you're shitting yourself. It's very simple math. 1 and 1 does equal 2 at this point. Number 2 specifically.
Quick piece of information there. Drugs are not made in the same quality across humans and animals, okay? So, also dosages. So don't.
You don't have the digestion system of a horse.
Just because you wish you had the dick of a horse doesn't mean that you have a digestion of a horse. Anyway.
Good send off.
Oh dear. And thank you, chat, for joining us and hanging out. And sorry, I'm just watching Paige's judgmental face breaking. Oh god. But yes, next stream will be on Sunday. Next Through Our Eyes stream will be in 2 weeks. So thank you all. I hope you have a good rest of your evening or day. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Say bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.